Look at all the overseas military bases they have, and you'll be saying, China and Russia are having overseas military bases. Where are they? These aggressors, where are all these bases? And where? Show me them on a map. It's a little quiz here, something you might think about, you know. Something that you should know, that you probably don't really think about much, you know. Because your mind will be so busy caught up with all the other bullshit to be pushing into it. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about this, right? How many overseas military bases do you think Russia have? Overseas military bases, way outside their country, way up overseas, in places they have no reason to be. You know? How many places, how many military bases do you say the Russians have? And here are 14 military bases, right, that Russia have. And you will notice that Russia has no military bases overseas. They have no military bases dotted along here, there, or anywhere overseas, okay? Most of the military bases are in parts of what was known as the old Soviet Union or the USSR, and a lot of them countries are happy that the Russians have military bases. They're protecting them because they have very little military of their own. Russia are also down in Syria, doing peacekeeping. I mean, they do a lot of that. Russia does a lot of peacekeeping around the world. A lot of countries they're invited into to keep the peace. So basically, anyway, what you can see, Russia is a massive country. I mean, massive country. You could easily put Ireland and England and France and Spain and Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, Poland, Germany, Romania. You can even go down to Morocco, Algeria. You could take in Egypt, Nigeria. You could take in Chad, Sudan, Senegal. You could take in the whole of England and Ireland. You could take in Norway and Sweden. And that would just fit into part of Russia. You could also put the whole of China into Russia. You could get the whole of the United States. The US will put that into Russia. You could get Alaska and put Alaska into Russia. And you still have room for a country of Russia. So Russia is just absolutely astronomical in size, right? It is massive. And they have 14 military bases dotted around, literally protecting their own country and other countries that are invited into to keep the peace. Because you hear a lot of disinformation about Syria. I put videos out on him before. That man is not a bad man at all. He's not out to get you terrorist. He's trying to run a country full of Christians and Muslims, and he's trying to do a good job, and they've made him out to be a terrorist. That's what they do. That's what NATO does, right? So this is Russia there, and Russia's military bases, right? So how many overseas military bases would you say China have? So alright lads, so as far as I can see, and I've done a little research, China has no overseas military bases. So China, the aggressor, has no overseas military bases going, alright? That's none. These are the two main aggressors we're constantly bombarded with and told. These are the aggressors, they want to take over the world. This is what their plan is to do, and this is what they're doing. And this has all been pumped into your mind by the fake media, remember that. That's why you should always research this stuff. You shouldn't believe shit they just tell you on the TV, lock, stock and barrel. You need to research this. They could be lying to you. How do you know they're not lying to you? Matter of fact, they fucking are lying to you. But I'm not lying to you, right? So this is something you won't get off your local news, right? Here are the aggressors of the world, Russia and China. This is how many overseas military bases they have. Look how aggressive they are. They're in on top of people's doorstep, pushing their naval and army and air forces in on top of other countries. Look at all the overseas military bases they have. And you'll be saying, China and Russia are having overseas military bases. Where are they? These aggressors, where are all these bases? And where? Show me them on a map. Boom, so here we go. So here's America's overseas military bases now, right? And as you can clearly see, they are lined the whole way across the whole of Eastern Europe, all across the front of Russia, all around China, literally throughout the world. As a matter of fact, America, the US of A, has over 750 overseas military bases started throughout the world. I mean, no country should be allowed to have that many overseas military bases throughout the world. I mean, they're controlling the world, and they're in every country, and they're plumbing every well. I put it that way. Wherever there's a well to be plumbed, the boys are in there plumbing it. They don't give a shit what comes out. They're gold, oil, some kind of resources, right? That's what they're taking out. So these are the so-called peacekeepers, these boys in NATO. And the other ones, they're the aggressors, right? You can see the other ones, all their, look at China, all the military bases, overseas military bases that have. Look at them all, none, that's right. And look at all the overseas military bases Russia have, none, that's right. And back in the days when Russia was putting missiles into Cuba, well, John F. Kennedy and them created murder, said you're not putting missiles in on top of our doorstep. And there was peace treaty done, right? And they didn't put them in. So basically, but it's okay for America to go over and pump them in everyone else's door. And I'm not on about John F. Kennedy, I'm on about the military of today. The military industrial complex, it comes along and says, watch up, move out of the fucking way. We need to bring democracy into this country. And this is how we bring in democracy. With bombs and planes and weapons and bullets and wads of lead and you name it. This is how we bring democracy and all our sick twisted agendas into our country. We kick in your fucking door. So boom, 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 watch up, kick in the door. Don't care who we kill. Here comes democracy. It's time to embrace this majestic, peaceful democracy that we're pushing all over the world. No country, and I mean no fucking country, should have that much power. Who the fuck do they think they are? And especially when it's been run by the Biden cartel, God knows what they could do. I mean, you got to remember this. Russia are the most armed nuclear nation in the world. They are the most armed nuclear nation in the world, right? Now, we'll go back to it. Here's the American democracy for you. Bringing you democracy, bringing it at you, lads. So you got to understand, you know, where the aggressor is coming from, you know what I mean? And the lies that they're telling you, you know, and the things that they're saying about it, you know. It's a never-ending war. And they want to go in now and make that there the dead zone, the Ukraine. The people have been put through the mill, all the Ukrainians, they're being wiped out as well. Now they're enlisting women. There's no more, you're getting drafted and enlisted in. Same in America, they're starting to enlist women and men into they're calling up the draft again in America, meaning you have to enlist. Right? They must be planning on putting a lot of soldiers in there and putting them through the meat grinder, right? Because there's military bases, American military bases all over here aiming at Russia, and Russia said you are not to militarise the Ukraine, and they did. And not to mention what Joe Biden done to the Nord Stream pipeline, right? That was a terrorist attack on the world, right? And they got away with that, and still getting away with it. So I mean, we can only hope that Trump gets into power and stops this, because as Russia says, and you do not blame them, they have brought up, they're told this, they're brought up this. They remember the Second World War and the Nazis, because it's only a couple of cold years ago. So a lot of people in Russia live and remembers what it was all about, right? And the Nazis are out now fucking savages, right? They are the savages of the earth, alright? They are the bottom feeders, right, of all soldiers, right? Savages. They kill men, women and children, torture them, burn them. You gotta remember what they've done. Not just to the 6 million Jews, but about 20 odd million Russians were killed by the Nazis. They lost the most people out of any country. Russia lost the most people. But they killed everyone. They came for the Jews, but they came for anyone who got in the way. That's why 20 million Russians had to die. And they don't forget it. They're not like us over here forgetting. Brainwashed through the TV, brainwashed through that little fucking country. They're brainwashing us. And in NATO, and in there, all the little rats in there. In their Brussels that tried to brainwash us, right? So the moral of the story is anyway, Russia has this, and this is what they say: a world without Russia is no world to live in. Meaning, when Russia feels it is backed against the wall, you're kicking the dog and kicking the dog is going to turn around and fucking bite you. Except this time they're not kicking the dog, they're kicking a bear. A bear that can swallow up Europe and America and a lot of other countries and China. Could swallow them all up, right? That's the size of a bear they're kicking, and he's armed to the teeth with nuclear fucking weapons. And they say a world without Russia is no world at all. Meaning, if Russia is put to the back, if Russia's back is against their wall and it has no other choice, it is willing to obliterate every single person on the earth. And would you blame them? Why should the world live and say, oh, you gotta be wiped out, will the rest of us live happy on here? Would you blame the Russians for saying, no, fuck this shit, you're trying to wipe us out, we're gonna nuke the lot of you? And that's what's gonna happen if you keep pushing Russia into the corner, the most armed nuclear nation in the world. You gotta understand, these people were up around space ever before America made it, or faked it, or however they got there, if they did get there. Russia were in space before anyone, alright? It's just they don't brag about nothing. As where the US and NATO and all the others rats, they brag about everything. So right now, I'm not saying all the US because there's loads of good people in America. It's just been run by fucking warmongers, right? So we need to get Trump back into power to bring a bit of peace and stability. Trump brought peace and stability to the world Joe Biden has brought nothing but war into the world, right? So know the truth. Do the research, know the truth. Right? Russia wanted peace. NATO and the Biden cartel said no, we want the military-industrial complex to make a fucking billions, trillions out of this little place here, there, out of the Ukraine. And we'll slaughter everyone going through it. We don't care if you die. So that's what they're doing. So know the truth, who the real aggressors are. Russia, 14 military bases on and in around their own mainland, you might as well say. China told their aggressors too. I know they have the market corner to sell a lot of stuff and a lot of people aren't happy about that, but you don't have to buy it if you don't want it. I mean, a lot of people that do deal with China, or they're saying China or this and China or that, but yet they're dealing with them all the time, so give us a fucking break, yeah? So China has no overseas military bases, Russia has no overseas military bases, but boom, that's what the peacekeepers have. All pushed by NATO, remember that, NATO, the UN, the EU, three mouths of the same satanic beast. NATO is the military side of things, tells you how to do things in your own country and what they will and won't do so if you don't abide to the rules. The EU is the e-commerce side of things, how to financially cripple your country, how to control your money, how to dissolve your currency, how to take over your fucking banks, how to bankrupt you and make you submit to us and our rules and regulations and agendas. Right? And the UN is the geographical side of things. The countries where they're situated, what they can and can't do with your country in the future. If they want to do it then, if they want to do it now. All pushed by these. The people that tell you that Russia and China are the aggressors, how many overseas military bases have they? Well, they have over 750 military bases dotted throughout Europe, across the front of China, across Russia. And they have a cheek to tell you that Russia are the aggressors or China are the aggressors when they have over 750 military bases dotted throughout their world. Overseas military bases, not to mention the hundreds that they have in the homeland. So when someone tells you they're aggressors, we have 750 military bases and weapons aiming at them aggressors. How many have them aggressors aiming at you? Nothing much, nothing. They have no overseas military bases, as far as we know, maybe nothing, just enough to defend their country. Them aggressors